Hi, and welcome to Northwest Brew Talk. I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
And this is episode number 38. Each week we promote the Washington brewing industry by talking to those people involved and drinking Washington beer. With almost 300 breweries, we try to highlight as many as possible in every episode. If you're new to the show, we suggest you check out our back catalog with some great interviews and lots of Washington beer. On today's show, we have an interview with Snoqualmie Brewing, our brew news and views, and local music from Caitlin McCray.
If you have any comments or questions, send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. We are on Twitter at nwbrewtalk and on Facebook at facebook.com/nwbrewtalk. If you like the show and want to support us, why not become a patron? With a donation, we offer everything from a guest hosting the show to a copy of our upcoming book, Washington Beer. Head over to nwbrewtalk.podbean.com for more details. And to start the show, let's open our first beer.
Yes, we have Baby with us here, and apparently she wants a beer, but we won't let her have any.
So our first beer today is Hop Goblin Pale Ale from Middleton Brewing. Middleton Brewing opened in Everett in 2013. They are open Thursday through Sunday and are all ages and dog friendly. Hop Goblin Hop Pale Ale from Middleton Brewing has no untapped rating. It is 5.5% ABV and 18 IBUs. It's listed as pumpkin yam beer, which makes sense.
Yeah, it is. We got a growler of it, and it's what is it? Like a copperish color, and it has these great spices. It almost tastes like pumpkin.
Oh yeah, definitely
pumpkin pie or something.
Got that pumpkin spice thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's got a nice flavor to it. It's pretty mild too. Pretty mild, so it's easy to. You can drink this pretty easily.
Definitely.
Yes, and all right, yeah, that's a pretty good beer. And we'll be talking a little bit more.
Yeah, I like that.
We'll be talking a little bit more about them in a bit, and also Washington Beer Book is in its final editing of adding the final breweries that we've come up with, and that'll be going off to the publisher this week. So that'll be coming out in April. All right, now on to our brew news and views.
There have been and are several new breweries opening and one closing that we know of, and we want to mention to you. Starting with Westport Brewing Company in Westport. It was opened by Robin Deuce in December of 2011. Earlier this year, owner Deuce began looking for someone to take over the brewery, but complications with the property made it difficult to sell, and the brewery closed suddenly in September 2015. Awkward Brewing has launched in Lake Stevens on July 20th, 2015 by head brewer Amanda Poliak. The idea has been around since 2008 when she and her husband began homebrewing. They trademarked the brewery name and had to start the commercial process of starting a brewery, even though both have full-time jobs. Another female brewer, Charlene Honsick, was a home brewer for 5 years before deciding to get licensed to brew in a shop in her Millwood backyard in 2015. Badass Backyard Brewing opened in August 2015.
On September 29th, Bellwether Brewing Company opened in Spokane, founded by Dave Musser and home brewer Thomas Krosky, who is the head brewer. His goal is to bring back old world styles such as Braggot and Gruit. On October 24th, Trapdoor Brewing will open its doors in Vancouver, founded by Brian Shull, his sons Zane and Zachary Singleton, and investor David Forster. Zane earned his degree at University of California, Davis, and is head brewer. Lastly, McMenamin's Anderson School in Bothell opens this Thursday, October 15th, with grand opening events for 3 days. Cups will runneth over at Seattle Magazine's Brew Seattle tasting event on October 23rd. The third annual local breweries only tasting event of the year features over 20 breweries located within Seattle, pouring over 80 beers. Tickets are $28 and get you 6 tasting tokens. Additional tokens may be purchased at the event with your money. Brew Seattle mini mugs, and you also get music, Seattle beer culture, and giveaways. You get to vote for your favorite local brewery. At the event, each guest will have a chance to weigh in on the Brewery of the Year, which will hold the title until 2016. And Pike Brewery currently holds the title, and they'll be back to defend their honor. Visit brewseattle2015.shindig.com for more details.
Wobbly Hops Brewery was started by John and Cherie Jankowski in Bremerton. John was a home brewer that wanted to take his craft commercial. They started planning in July 2014 and purchased a building in downtown in February 2015 where they set up a 5-barrel system. They opened their doors on September 5th, 2015. Tasha and Jesse Wilson met while they both worked at Hales Ales. Jesse graduated from Western Washington University with a degree in history and decided he wanted to brew historical beer styles. In August 2014, they ran a successful Kickstarter campaign to start their own brewery. They successfully raised over $31,000 to start a Lovecraft Brewing Company in Bremerton. They have a 3-barrel brewing system and taproom and opened their doors in October 2015. Charlie Hutchins and Bolton Bolt Minister have paired up to form 5440 Brewing Company, opened in Washougal. The pair met while working at Rock Bottom Restaurant and Brewery. Their grand opening is October 24th, 2015.
The second annual Bothell Beer Festival will be held Saturday, October 17th, this Saturday in downtown Bothell. 18 breweries will be pouring at this year's event, and last year sold out, so if it hasn't sold out yet, get your tickets. There'll be food, music, and an after party at the Hop and Hound in Bothell. It's 21 and over, cost between $20 and $25. Visit explorebothell.com for more details. October 17th is Naked City Brewery in Seattle. Their Big Lebrewski release, brewer Don Webb's legendary White Russian Imperial Stout, and an array of 24 special beers for their once-a-year event, their anniversary party. Also will feature live music, beer cotton candy, which sounds very interesting, and a comedy show. Now, Friday, October 23rd and 23rd and 24th will be the 5th annual Snoqualmie Brewfest. There will be 3 tasting sessions with about 20 breweries, wine and cider. This event is 21 and older and includes general admission tickets, which are $30. You get a tasting glass, a 7 5-ounce tasting tokens, and $5 food coupon, which is pretty cool. Visit snowhobrewfest.com for all the details. And that, my friends, is the brew news and views this week.
Welcome back to Northwest Brew Talk. If you want to submit news to Northwest Brew Talk, send us an email to nwbrewtalk@gmail.com. Or if you've not yet subscribed to our podcast, why not do it now? It's free, available anywhere you listen to podcasts, including iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. If you like us, a review or rating would be really appreciated. Make sure to tell your friends about Northwest Brew Talk.
And this week we're going to have a little brewery review. We just had some beer from Middleton Brewing, and we went there over the weekend with the family.
Quite a nice little space they have.
Yes, it's a nice little place. It's got a patio outside, some seating, TVs, nice bar, a lot of beer.
Lots of beer.
Yeah, and it's a nice place. Prices were good. They had one of the things we look for is it kid friendly, which it was.
Yep.
All kinds of games, so board games that you could play. My son was running all over, or our son, I should say, was running all over trying to find a game under every table. But it's also pet friendly. And the biggest thing though is that it's really hard to find. You have to be looking for it. We knew the address and we still had to drive around. And I took a chance. I said, I wonder if it's on the other side of this building, and it was. So.
Yeah, it's in a strip mall, but it's on the back side of the strip mall. So it was really windy that day. So I would like to guess that they would have some kind of sandwich board or something out at the street, but it's off a busy street too. So if you want to head out and look for it, just make sure when you plug it into your GPS, remember that it's around the back of the building. So
I didn't say it's in Everett too. So that's where they're located.
Right.
So, yeah, but it was a nice place, and
owner's very nice.
Owner Jeff was there cooking up some food, and that's one thing. Actually, we was just going to stop for a growler, and then I saw that they had food, so we decided to stop in for a little snack. So it was worthwhile.
Definitely.
All right, and now we're going to go talk to Dave Eifert from Snoqualmie Brewing. Okay. Okay, we are talking to Dave Eifert from Snoqualmie Brewing Company. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Mike. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. First off, I'd like to apologize to Dave because we did an interview when we were taking a trip over the summer, and unfortunately the interview did not turn out because there was some type of interference over the whole interview. So just wanted to say sorry for that, and thanks for redoing this with us.
Absolutely. Technical difficulties do happen.
Yeah, did not expect that. But so let's see. Well, let's start at the beginning. You were one of the original founders of the brewery, right?
That's right. One of the original investors, owners, back when we started almost 18 years ago.
And when you started, you were not involved day to day, correct?
Well, I was at the very outset, yes.
Oh, okay.
I was coming out of being a stay-at-home dad, so I was the only owner without a job, so I was the sales guy.
Oh, okay.
For the first year or so.
Okay. And so let's see, you opened in 1997?
Correct.
Okay. And let's see, I've got that originally you guys started out with the old Mac and Jack's 3-barrel system, right?
That's right. We loaded it into our pickup trucks of Jack's garage on the Sammamish Highland.
So, what made you guys decide to open up in Snoqualmie Falls?
Well, for me, it was kind of a hobby that got radically out of control. But of the original 5 owners, 3 of them grew up in the valley, so there were really strong ties here. And the founder and original president was a home brewer for longer than it had been legal, and this huge building that used to be a distributor for Dairy Queens became vacant, and he said, I want to start a brewery. I had been teaching some homebrew classes with him and also selling homebrew supplies, and I said, I'd like to play. And that's really how it got started.
Okay, so several of you were homebrewers at that time.
Actually, only 2 of the 5 were homebrewers.
2, okay. And who was the actual founder then?
That was Pat Anderson.
Okay. And so you guys decided that you wanted to do this, and what kind of beers were you guys interested in brewing?
Well, our first beer, and it remains our flagship, was the Wildcat IPA. And that was Pat's original recipe. He won an award for that from his brother's homebrew club, which he was a member of. But in general, the kinds of beers that we wanted to brew were robust, well-balanced microbrews, available regionally and absolutely fresh at all times.
So you were looking at...
Started out wanting to do a full gamut of beers.
Right.
Really encompassed pretty much the range of what was available then.
Right. So you wanted to do that, and being in Snoqualmie Falls, you just said that basically you knew that you'd have to distribute, right?
Yes, we did, and it wasn't long before we hooked up with a local distributor, Columbia, out of Kent, Washington.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But for the first year or so, we were self-distributed.
Oh, okay.
I would go out and make sales and load my pickup truck with kegs and deliver it as well.
And if I remember when we saw you at the Washington Brewers Festival, you had to go and pick up some kegs that day too, didn't you?
Yeah, but that was due to one of my my frequent mess-ups.
That happens.
It should have been there ahead of time, however. Again, technical difficulties, right?
Yeah, but pickups come in handy, don't they?
They absolutely do.
So did, at the beginning there, was distributing, did you guys have a tap room when you first opened?
No, we didn't. That took several years until we opened the tap room.
Okay, so yeah, distributing was the only way that your beer was getting out there then.
Yes, that's right.
So did you? This is 1997. This is still pretty early in the craft beer history. And did you find it difficult getting your beer into different taverns and restaurants?
Yes, even back then in the dark ages, there was still very keen competition for tap handle space and facings in grocery stores and convenience stores. One of the things that makes being able to tell the public where they can get our beer very difficult is the draft syndrome of handle rotation, where they'll bring in a keg or two, and whether or not it sells well, they want to have new products all the time. So you get rotated off in short order, and trying to be able to tell the public where you are is very difficult because where you are varies from week to week.
Right. Now that even goes today in a lot of places, even these places with, 20, 30, 50 handles, they're always rotating.
Absolutely. I believe that in 2014 that something like 85 breweries opened up in Washington. So the competition gets more keen all the time.
Right. And so you guys were busy pushing your beer, and back then, I mean, what would you recommend to somebody that came in and said, I normally drink a Bud or something like that?
Well, I encountered that early on at a sort of a cowboy tavern in Enumclaw.
Mm-hmm.
And when I brought in samples, one of the patrons said, I don't drink that yuppie beer.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing to me about that was this guy was actually old enough to remember the days when there were more than 4 breweries in the entire United States.
Yeah, exactly.
When every town had a brewery, and Dad would fill a bucket on the way home from work.
Mm-hmm.
And so really what we're trying to do is be a part of this movement in America to reintroduce fresh, locally produced beers to the general public and help them to appreciate the quality and the complexity of flavor that you can get, as opposed to drinking pale industrial swill, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
And which of course does have its place when it's 100 degrees outside and I'm on vacation, standing in some river someplace trying to stay cool. That's what I drink. But for most of the year, it's just pretty flavorless. A lot like eating food at chain fast food joints. And there's a whole level of quality to be had out there. And so it's very important to us to be part of that movement. Which, by the way, microbrews hit 10% of the national market last year for the first time ever.
Right.
And that's really significant.
Yeah, that is huge, considering how many breweries there are. When you see that, the big 2 that control almost half the industry there, you're pulling 10% of it, which is still a small piece from 4,000 breweries, but it is significant.
It is a small piece, but if you remember back to when I started homebrewing, it was, 1978, 1980, something like that. And a college roommate of mine got me hooked on European beers. And so we saved the bottles and started homebrewing. And at that point, there were only 3 microbreweries in the States, to my knowledge. There was Angerstein, there was Sierra Nevada, and if you happened to be up in Seattle, because you could only get it up here,
right,
it was Red Hook.
Mm-hmm.
New Albion had come and gone, and so that was really it. And obviously, there's been tremendous growth in the craft beer industry since then.
Yeah, definitely. And with that, I mean, you mentioned like about 85 opened last year just in Washington alone. You find it more difficult today than, 1997 trying to get your beer out?
Yes, I would say that that's true. We have to market smarter and harder and more frequently. Go to as many festivals as possible, develop relationships with consumers. And I really enjoy the festivals. I think we did something like 24 of them last year.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. But again, it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I have to say, maybe at the expense of sound or at the risk of sounding pompous or something like that, that all these new startup breweries, I've seen that happen before. I think it might have been about 15 years ago, and all of a sudden all these new breweries popped up, and a lot of those names you don't see on the shelves anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the same thing has happened with cider as well.
Yeah.
So as long as we can weather this, then we will be that much stronger in the market after things settle out a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like you mentioned earlier, 100 years ago, there were breweries, or probably a little bit more than that. 1915 was we were in the middle of Prohibition here, but 1800s, there were breweries in every town, and that's where it became the local meeting place and the tavern, and that's where everybody would just go to have their beer. And that's kind of what it's becoming again, with so many breweries opening in distant towns that if you were thinking 10 years ago, you wouldn't think that breweries would open in all these places.
I agree 100%. And we've really experienced that here in Snoqualmie. We get a lot of people who come out from what I call civilization, which is Issaquah and West. But we have a really strong following in the local community here. When we first opened the tap room, I told our founder, Pat Anderson, I didn't think that the tap room would be very busy.
Mm.
And boy, was I wrong. This was obviously a screaming need here in the community. It's sort of a cheers atmosphere, local watering hole and gathering place that's family friendly. So we have chalkboard walls, and a lot of families who live locally come in, and individuals that see the same faces all the time. So it's obviously very valuable to the community.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's where some breweries may be able to survive, to weather that, like you said, weather that storm. But then, when you've got 50-some breweries in the city of Seattle alone, you have to wonder how many of them are going to be able to make it the long haul.
I agree with you there. That's one thing that I wish that we had was our tap room in a strong population center. Where we are here is very tourist dependent. About 60% of the people who are customers of the tap room have never been here before.
Wow.
And will never come back.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're only a mile away from the second biggest tourist attraction in the state, which is the falls.
Right.
It gets about 2 million visitors a year.
Mm.
And if we had a larger population center, I think that our business in the tap room would be more steady.
Mm-hmm.
But as you say, with 50 or so within the city of Seattle, you really kind of need to wonder if that's sustainable over the long haul, or if the newest place is sort of let me try that again. The newest place is sort of sparkly and shiny and sexy, and that might wane over time as a new place opens up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you guys carry a lot of different beers. You have a lot of different beers, like 12 or so on tap?
Yes, we do.
So, I mean, that gives everybody the full range of beers that they can try. But at the same time, when you get people coming in, are they probably like the same reason that they go into a new brewery? It's like, what do you have that's new?
Yes, that's true. And we run a series of Brewers' Choices. For instance, right now we have a pumpkin beer on that we made a batch of, and actually that batch got split out so that we have pumpkin beer, and we'll be alternating that with cocoa pumpkin beer.
Mm.
And we haven't done the cocoa pumpkin before, but the pumpkin has been very popular around Halloween.
Okay.
I can't understand why. At any rate, and we have made fresh hop ale with locally grown and picked hops from right here in the valley.
Yep.
Squash beers, the spruce tip beer. The sky's kind of the limit for wacky ingredients and permutations of styles that Randy and Kevin and Jake will make.
Now, last time we talked, you said that Randy Reed's your head brewer, right?
Yes, he is.
And he's been with you a long time, hasn't he?
Almost the entire 17 years.
Really?
Right after we started up, he left Pyramid. He was Pyramid and Thomas Kemper's head brewer. And we sort of sheepishly wrote a number down on a piece of paper and said, we can afford to pay you this much. And he took the bait, and he's been here the entire time since.
Wow. Then there must.
And he's just an amazing brewer. He can match a style. One time I brought in a bottle of my favorite Doppelbock from Germany and said, "Make me this," because I'm a real sucker for Doppelbocks.
Mm-hmm.
And so he made a batch, and I thought it was absolutely wonderful. Made my socks roll up and down. It was so good.
Nice.
And he said, "No, it's not quite it. I need to redo that." And he made another batch, and I'll be darned if it wasn't even better and pretty much spot on.
Nice.
Yeah, he can do some amazing things. His recipe formulation really generally only requires 1 or 2 iterations before he nails it, and then we're good to launch that product.
Nice. So
correction.
What?
We're ready to launch that beer. I hate it when people call stuff that you drink and eat product.
Oh, okay, right. So has Randy entered any of his beers in competitions before?
We haven't entered any beers for quite a while, probably 10 years or so, and we have just started that project again.
Okay. Any special reason why you didn't? Just business, just running business, and
yeah, there's a few reasons why. I mean, it can actually be expensive depending on competition.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just cover costs; it's a money maker for whoever's running the competition.
Oh, true.
And we've chosen to allocate our available resources elsewhere.
Okay.
But at this point, it would be great to have some medals to be able to hang on necks of bottles.
Sure.
So we're re-entering that effort.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. So to that point then, would you be entering beers that would be like to style or some of your like specialty beers?
In general, we're going to be entering beers that are our normal styles. On occasion, specialty beers, sure.
Okay.
At Belgian Fest, it would be great to win an award down there for a Belgian other than our Spring Fever.
Mm-hmm.
And so next time we go there, we'll brew something special like we did last year, and see if it doesn't place or win.
Okay. All right. Now, you guys, you still don't run that 3-barrel, right? You've upgraded since then.
Yes, that's true.
So you have what? You have a 7-barrel now?
Yes, we do.
And when did you upgrade to that?
Well, if I had a memory, it would help, but I am guessing that it was probably about 12 years ago.
Okay.
That we got that from a now defunct brewery.
Okay. So was that business was doing well enough that you needed a larger system at that time?
Exactly.
Okay.
And the small system that we started out with from Mac and Jack's, it wasn't made for continuous use.
Okay.
And so actually the kettle, over time, the stainless steel started oxidizing and it started collapsing.
Mm.
It looked a little bit like a beer can thrown into a campfire. I never knew that stainless could do that. Yes, it just started leaning over like the Tower of Pisa, and the bottom cracked a couple of times, so we had to have new bottoms of the tank welded in.
Oh, wow.
And eventually it just needed to be scrapped. It was totally used up. And the system that we have now is built for essentially continuous duty.
Okay. So are there any beer styles that you guys haven't done that you'd be interested in doing?
That we'd be interested in doing? Yeah, sure. I mean, we're interested in doing just about any style except under our current production configuration. We can't do lagers. We don't have the space to do that. But, yeah, we do 3 special releases every year, and those special releases run for 4 months. And if they take and sell really well, then we bring them back the following year. As soon as that drops off, then they're just history, and we'll concoct something new. So pretty much any style can fit into that program.
Okay.
But I don't have any specific styles in mind off the top of my head, no.
No, but like the one that you wanted, if you have something like that, then you just tell Randy that you'd like to try it, right?
Exactly.
All right. Now, you guys bottle and you distribute. So do you know how far your distribution goes? Yes.
Between the 3 active distributors that we have in Washington, we cover most of the state.
Okay.
The eastern part of the state is a little weak and spotty, or I should say the central part of the state is weak and spotty. In the east, our distributor out there, Great Micros, does a great job for us in the Spokane area. Some of our beer gets sub-jobbed across into Idaho from there. Mm. And also recently, this spring, our beer has been exported into South Korea.
Really?
And yes, and sales there seem pretty good, so we're expecting another order any time now.
Interesting.
And so it'll be available on draft. The initial test run was bottled product only, but the next will be draft. And there are also plans from our importer in South Korea to open up a Snoqualmie tap room in Seoul.
Wow, that is crazy.
It kind of is. It just goes to show you never know who you will meet at a tasting or a trade show.
Yeah,
that's how this all came about.
Yeah, that's interesting. We've talked to a couple breweries that have exported their beer. That seems to be a popular. Asian countries seem to be very interested in American beer for some reason.
Yes, well, they have an expanding middle class, and I think just like here in America has been happening, a lot of the citizens of those countries are finding out that the pale industrial lagers are not as satisfying as they could be.
Okay.
I particularly love Korean barbecue. Don't know if you've ever had it, but kalbi and bulgogi are wonderful grilled beef ribs sliced very thin, and they come with an amazing assortment of marinated bean sprouts and spinach and kimchi and things like that. Mm-hmm. And a more robust beer, I think, goes really well with that as opposed to a pale industrial lager.
Sure. Oh, awesome. That sounds very, very interesting, and sounds like something that definitely will keep you guys moving along there.
I hope so, yes.
Before you started homebrewing, what kind of beers did you like to drink?
Well, again, like I said earlier, Doppelbock is one that I have a particular weakness for.
Right.
And the other one is Crystal Bison. And unfortunately, our system here doesn't have the capacity to produce it because of the extremely high carbonation levels. Mm. But a good German Crystal Weizen does not have the heaviness of a Hefeweizen. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's crystal clear. And the yeast that they use produces these lovely clove flavors. Mm. The stuff is effervescent and refreshing and has these remarkable flavors in it. I really love those.
Nice.
And I like a good Pilsner.
All right. So you mentioned earlier fresh hop beers. Did you guys do a fresh hop beer this year?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
We brewed a tank of fresh hop. It yielded somewhere around 8 kegs.
Okay.
And yeah, we have some friends who grow hops just ornamentally, and so we strip their vines every year.
Oh, nice.
And also, I don't know if any of the listeners might know this, but for a brief period in time, Snoqualmie had the largest hop ranch in the world. This was after whatever affected the European hops had taken hold over there, and before Yakima had started being a hop growing region. So a large area, which is now an open space kind of, what would you call it, demonstration farm here that's publicly owned, was the largest hop ranch in the world. And when they went from that to using it to grow grass for cattle, some of the hops escaped on the margins, and they're still out there. Their rhizomes put up vines every year, and those can also be stripped and used in our fresh hops. So we pick several pounds of those and dry them, clean them, stuff them in a porous sack, and put that in a tank of our Kolsch beer, and let all those great hop flavors get into the beer over the course of a week or so.
Awesome. Very cool story. Yeah, that, being so close to the biggest hop industry in the world doesn't hurt when it comes to making some good beer.
That's right. There's nothing fresher than hops from 2 miles down the road.
Exactly. Well, Dave, I'd like to thank you once again for joining us, and we will definitely keep watch on that South Korean venture that you're going to be having.
Yes, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity being on the mic with you, Mike, and so thank you much.
All right, thanks to Dave for joining us and redoing that interview. It was really nice of him to take that time. And we'll be right back after a local music break from Caitlin Kren.
I don't know what strange, distant planet you think I'm from, but I know that yours shining up in the sky is the brightest one, and though the distance between might feel like the farthest stars, you know the brighter they shine, the hotter they burn, and the closer they are. You tend the fire, I'll go get wood out in the rain, and we'll start the slow winding down of the night again. Constellations in the sky connect our lives. The seasons change. Do we know their names? How they affect our ways? The currents of the Deltic day. You say, of course. I say, maybe. You show me all the things I didn't see. You show me new ways to perceive the way the things move, the way things stay. Let's do it your way. Let's try it mine. I'll try and understand the things you say. My words you try some sense to find. At the end of the day, I hope you'll still wanna come inside. There's a world where I'm making one rotation at a time. You tend the fire, I'll go again. What out in the rain, we'll start the slow winding down of the night again. You tend the fire, I'll go again.
That was 10 the Fire by Caitlin Kren. You can check them out at caitlinrosecren.bandcamp.com. If you want to have your music played on Northwest Brew Talk, contact us today. And now let's try another beer. This time we have Black Widow Porter by McMenamins.
And this was a gift from McMenamins.
Yes.
They sent this to us, so just want to let you know that. And
thank them for that gift.
Yes,
there.
thank you very
and
much.
They sent a postcard with it with a description. Originally created at McMenamins Thompson Brewery in Salem, Oregon on October 15th, 1991, and brewed once a year for just Thompson's taps. Black Widow's web now extends to all of their pubs and is available on tap and in 22-ounce bottles from October 15th at least through Halloween. Each deep black goblet is full of robust notes afforded by generous amounts of black and roast malts and further spirited by ethereal wisps of licorice. Nourish your inner ghoul with a brew steeped in tradition and mystery.
This is nearly black. I don't think I can see light through it.
A good howl at the Cheshire Moon couldn't hurt either. The malts used here are Baird's Pale Malt, Great Western Munich, Great Western Flaked Barley, Great Western Wheat, Baird's Crystal, Baird's Roast Material, Baird's Black Malt. So nice list there of all their malts. The hops are ultra. And then they have the additional licorice root. ABV here is 7.35 and IBU 30.
This is definitely a dark porter. It smells really good.
Yes, it does.
It seems to be, what was it, 7.2?
Wow.
I think it's
7.35.
7.35. Yeah, it is definitely 7.35.
That's good. I wasn't sure with the licorice. I'm not a huge licorice fan, but it's not too overpowering that that's all you taste or anything.
No, not at all. It's pretty subdued. But the alcohol is not.
No, it's not.
The alcohol is definitely not. But seriously, this is dark beer. Holy cow.
That's the point.
Yeah. It is Black Widow for sure. But, okay, yeah, that's pretty good. I'm not,
I like that a lot.
Yep, you're more of a dark beer fan. But,
yeah, it's kind of hard to find a dark beer that I don't like, actually.
This one you can taste going down still. It's like taking a little shot of something.
I want you to give me fresh beer. You serious? Now!
Welcome to Fresh Beer. This week's Fresh Beer is from No Lie Brew House, their newest six-pack Slacker, a chimp off the old block. At 6.1% ABV and 20 IBUs, Slacker delivers a smooth foundation from wheat. Acidulated in caramel malts and the sweet orange peel tossed in during boil lets the juicy orange flavor and aroma shine. The strong citrus character, reinforced by Comet and Cascade hops, only confirms that the delicious orange does not fall too far from the brass monkey tree.
All right. Yeah, that's one of their specialty, seasonal specialty beers. Sounds pretty good. All right, and that brings us to the end of the episode of Northwest Brew Talk.
Make sure you tune in next week when we chat with Dirty Hands Brewing.
This show is produced and edited by me with engineering help from Michelle Rizzo.
If you want to contact us, you can email us at ndwbrewtalk@gmail.com or give us a call at 541-595-TALK.
Until next time, I'm Mike Rizzo.
And I'm Michelle Rizzo.
Stay hopping, my friends.